So the treatment paradigm for glaucoma is medical management, surgery, and sometimes if these two do not work, we move on to surgeries. So I think what is very important is close to about 80 to 90% of the patients, we treat them medically. And when we decide to do a surgery, it really needs a pressure reduction, which is a significant pressure reduction. Mitomycin C has definitely improved the success rates of trabeculectomy, because I think trabeculectomy is the only unconventional surgery in the body where we want to create a wound and don't want it to heal. So because the natural tendency is to heal, we try and use several medications to prevent the healing, and in the process end up having a lot of complications. So one needs to be very, very clear about using the medication, especially the mitomycin C, and also not end up having complications. The implants are definitely used for refractory glaucomas, but we know it's a huge hardware that is sitting in the eye with its imminent complications. So if one of us have been doing this for a long time, we know that at some point in their lifetime, be it 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down the line, there is some problem or the other that occurs because of a huge hardware that is sitting inside the eye. So now we are wondering, what are the safe surgical options? So many times, in fact, it's not uncommon these days when a patient comes to us and asks us. In fact, I think about four years ago, there was a patient who came to me and asked me that despite having a very difficult glaucoma, pseudoexfoliation glaucoma progressing, I don't want trabeculectomy, I don't want a tube, I want you to do something that is a non-penetrating or a minimally invasive glaucoma surgery, because I don't want to have a complication. So that is how demanding it is these days. And even we are very worried about performing a surgery where we're worried of the complications that we may have. So this is where the role of MIGS, a micro-invasive glaucoma surgery, plays a role. So they're not minimally invasive, they are invasive, but they are possibly slightly less invasive. So what we try to do with these procedures is to improve the physiological aqueous pathway, no bleb-related problems apparently, and no hypotony in majority of these cases. Advantage is that it can be combined with cataract surgery, but we do not have too much of an intraocular pressure control the way we get with trabeculectomy. There is a moderate intraocular pressure control with these devices. So they're basically ab externo and ab interno type of devices, where when you say ab interno, it is using the Schlems canal, the trabecular meshwork Schlems canal pathway, the collector channel that goes beyond. So basically you're trying to improve the drainage through the conventional pathway by removing the existing resistance, if at all, the trabecular meshwork and the inner wall of the Schlems canal. The other type of procedures are the subconjunctival procedures, which are the Zen and the Infocus, and suprachoroidal procedures, where you are using a different mechanism to try and bring down the intraocular pressure. What is very important for us to note is the intraocular pressure achieved by all these procedures, except the subconjunctival devices, in IOP reduction has something called a floor effect. You don't use this term typically in a surgery, but what I mean by that is that intraocular pressure reduction cannot go less than the episcleral venous pressure. So it has some limitation there, and it depends upon the distal outflow capacity of the collector channels. Multiple MIGS are available, starting from iStent, iStent Inject, iStent Supra, CyPass, the Aquisys system, and the newer ones that are available nowadays, which is the Infocus implant. So looking at the trends of glaucoma surgery in the US, you see that the filtration procedures, typically the trabeculectomy is coming down, and many people are preferring to use the non-invasive or the mixed procedures much more commonly along with cataract surgery. A few things that are very important for us when we start doing MIGS is that one needs to be very comfortable doing a direct gonioscopy during the surgery. So the gonioscopic visualization of the angle is very, very important. So your surgical success depends upon how well you are able to see the structures and how well you are able to do the procedure. One important tip I would like to give for people who want to start MIGS is to identify the trabecular meshwork, and also identify the Schlems canal. So sometimes blood in Schlems canals gives you an indication that this is the area where you have to really start your procedure. Anatomically, there are the collector channels are maximally placed in the infranasal and in the nasal location, basically inferior nasal and superior nasal areas. So that is why most mixed procedures try and target these locations. The intracanalicular devices like iStent, I don't have personally experience with this because of the expense of the device, and they're not available in India. So there are multiple generations that are available. And then people use more than 2 iStents in the same eye in opposite directions so that they target the 2 areas of Schlemm's canal drainage. The other one that is available is a Schlemm's canal scaffold called Hydrus. This is again an important device that is part of it is placed in the AC and part of it in the Schlemm's canal. It helps to widen the Schlemm's canal. Again, this is not available to us, but it's supposed to not just enlarge the Schlemm's canal, but also try to have a larger device in the Schlemm's canal. The most promising ones, if you ask me, what is the role of MIGS in India? I think that is what I am looking at, and that is what I would like our viewers and delegates to keep a watch on. So what is available to us and what can be performed with us? So they are the Schlemm's canal procedures. I think currently what we are doing is GAT and KDB. These are 2 procedures that are available and we are able to perform them. Omni or a 360-degree ab internal trabeculotomy is again the same like your suture GAT, but you're using a device with a preloaded suture there, but that is again expensive. This is not something that we routinely perform. Ab internal trabeculotomy or the trabectome is also another procedure that again it involves cost and expenditure. So these are also good, and a few centers in India are also performing them. So my slides are stuck. Can somebody help? I'm not able to move the slides.
Please click on the center.
All coordinator, please look into that.
Yeah, see, I'm not able to see the pointer also. Yeah, sorry for that interruption. So Cahuck dual blade goniotomy is another one that we are performing. So we use a dual blade to go intraocularly and try and open up the area of the trabecular meshwork. I'll just show a short video. So this can be done either prior to performing a phacoemulsification or at the end of the procedure. I prefer to do it at the end of the procedure because that microbleed sometimes can obscure the view and I don't want it to disrupt when I'm doing the cataract surgery. So at the end of the procedure, if you're doing a temporal clear corneal, it's quite easy. So you can go in through the same incision, use a Cahuck dual blade, and through a Schwann-Jacob direct gonio lens. If you see, the lens is placed just over the cornea without any corneal folds. So blade is inserted into the area of the Schlemm's canal. You can see regurgitation of blood there. You can use the blood or the tip to actually go and open up the area of the Schlemm's canal on both the sides. So that strip that you see is coming out that can actually be peeled off with the help of microforceps, or sometimes even the IA cannula will help it to peel away. So generally we tend to do about 180 to 200 degree, and at the end of the surgery you try and close it up. So these are the post-operative gonio pictures. You can see a beautiful ridge here. So this white ridge tells you that that is the wall of the sclera that you are able to visualize. We do see microhyphema in these patients, but majority of them, they resolve in a couple of days. Most of them have reduction in use of anti-glaucoma medications post-operatively, and we have not seen any serious complications in these patients. Another one that is commonly performed is suture GAT, and this is my current favorite. So what I use is a 50 Prolene with the help of an umbrella tip that is again used to, along with the cataract surgery, or as an independent procedure. So at the end of the cataract surgery, this was a gentleman for whom the primary surgery had failed. So previous trap had failed, and he was on 4 anti-glaucoma medications. So you can actually see incision of the trabecular meshwork using a 50 Prolene suture with the help of a Grishaber microforceps. You try and insert the suture into the Schlemm's canal. And like I said, this patient superiorly had a failed trap. So I did a 270-degree GAT. So you go through it, and the area where the superior trabeculotomy, the trabeculectomy ostium was there, it got stuck in that place. My intention was to cover up as much as possible. So this gentleman, now I think close to about 6 months follow-up, is 14 millimeters of mercury pressure off all topical anti-glaucoma medications. So this can also be done when a failed other procedures, like let's say a failed AGV, but open angles. Instead of doing one more conjunctival procedure, or you don't have a conjunctiva available, we can do it as a second procedure also. I borrowed this video from a colleague of mine. So again, the procedure is the same. So you don't have to really worry about doing a second implant. But I think this is really revolutionized, for me at least, the way we look at secondary open angle glaucomas. This is a video that I wanted to share. So this was a patient who had a uveitic glaucoma. They are very good candidates for GAT. You see the blood in the Schlemm's canal. So much of reflux of blood in the Schlemm's canal, it becomes extremely difficult for you to perform a GAT or any procedure. So I decided to just go ahead and do a goniotomy. That means I visualized the area of the trabecular meshwork and went and did a goniotomy the way we do it in a child for up close to about 200 degrees. And this patient now on one single anti-glaucoma medication, the pressures are well controlled. So we can do a lot of procedures, and I think we have underutilized the utility of these gonio-based procedures. The others, like, we don't have them, but I'm just for completion sake showing them. Gel implant as well as the InFocus implant. This is one implant which is showing a great promise, but we would be very happy if Santen, I think, is trying to get this implant. If we get it, it will be very nice. So again, it's a very tiny microshunt, but this uses a subconjunctival drainage process. So how do the IOP control work? So if you look at these, the subconjunctival procedures like the InFocus and Zen has the maximum intraocular pressure control compared to the Schlemm's canal procedures. If you remember the floor effect that I told you, that is what plays a difference here. Same way, number of anti-glaucoma medications in the post-operative period significantly come down. Our intention should not be no anti-glaucoma medication, but to decrease the anti-glaucoma medications. This is a beautiful chart, although it's a busy chart, showing the IOP reduction. So sometimes you can have an IOP reduction as minimal as 10% to as high as 55 to 60%. So that is the beauty of these procedures. Individualize it and use it to your patient. But if you have an angle closure disease, progressive glaucoma, uncontrolled intraocular pressure, where patients are allergic to anti-glaucoma medication, so these are indications where I would not even think about doing a mix. I would myself go with the conventional procedures. But otherwise, I think mix have a huge role to play, and I'm extremely happy that we are able to do these procedures which are less expensive today. So with the Prolene GAT, it hardly takes you about maybe 500 to 1,000 rupees extra, which is even cheaper than any other procedure that is available in the market today. So they are safe, decreases the number of anti-glaucoma medications. You can avoid conjunctival complications. And remember, IOP can be achieved only in the mid-teens, and hypotony-related complications are far less or almost absent. So it is very interesting. New ones are in progress, and I think this is an encouraging field that we should be looking forward to. So thank you.